I have a novel that I've been working on for a while, and one of the primordial archetypes in it, because the novel operates on all these different narrative levels, and you get really deep, and then you get really into the modern, and then you get into the postmodern kind of way of making sense, hyperintelligence and interpretation based storytelling. But there's this one primordial entity that kind of runs through all of time. She kind of precedes Adam, and then she's at the end where Adam's done, and she kind of helps him, helps carry his body along with Father Time. But she keeps on challenging the masculine narrative of understanding and intelligence, specifically will. She's constantly countering will, and what she is, she kind of seems like imagination on one level, but she's curiosity even deeper, and she challenges the notion of an all-knowing being by saying maybe God is curious, maybe God created ignorance in order to discover things because of the joy that's unleashed in discovery. So it's just the question of, is it possible that God doesn't know everything, or even tricks himself into not knowing something, so that there's the possibility of discovery and curiosity? And there's some language in the Bible, or at least in Christianity, about God wanting to know us and God wanting to be in this creative relationship of discovery of us. Mm-hmm. Big ideas, but I'm just wondering about like curiosity.
No, for sure. I think the idea of a feminine character as curiosity is perfect. You know, that's what Earth is in a way. It's like a question. That's what darkness is. Darkness is a question, right? It's like what's here? You know, what is it? And so I think that's a perfect way it's a perfect frame for a feminine character. And you could understand that to a certain extent there could be a challenge between heaven and earth, right? And so Earth challenges heaven, and that's also like the challenge is in a way seduction, right? That's what people find is struggle to understand, that it's like a veiling and unveiling, right? It's like a puzzle and seduction are related together. There's a sense in which a hiding and revealing, right? That's how the feminine kind of interacts with the male, but it can appear as a mix between an attraction and a challenge, right? And so the idea of also even the idea of the maiden who wants the knight to prove himself, like there are different types of these challenges. They don't have to always have the same structure, but the Queen of Sheba comes to Solomon, and in some of the traditions it says that she came with puzzles, like she came with questions, and she came with challenges, basically. So I think it's perfect. But so the idea is that in God, or at least in the origin, so God first account of creation, you have God, you have heaven and earth. So you have three terms. So heaven would be all the masculine patterning, light, logos, all this type of identities, and then the darkness would be question, absence, emptiness, potential, also, right? And so it's a sexual relationship between heaven and earth, really. That's the way to understand it. And then man is the union of the two. And so God is both outside and contains both in him. And so in God, in the traditional way, there's a manner in which we have two ways of talking about God, right? We have the cataphatic and the apophatic. So cataphatic means all the positive qualities of God, and that tends to appear as
wisdom, compassion.
It tends to have more masculine imagery, because like omnipotence and all these characteristics that God has. But then there's also an apophatic way of talking about God, which is the idea of God as unknowing, and God as always transcending all categories, and therefore remaining veiled. You know, a dark cloud is the imagery. And so there's a sense in which God contains both. Saint Ephrem the Syrian talks about the divine womb, the idea that the divine womb of which we should not speak about. Like we shouldn't talk about it, because it actually, as soon as you talk about it, you betray it somehow. You
inseminate it with your grubby little knowing fingers.
Right. Yeah. But that's also the difficulty of talking about feminine archetypes, is that one of the tropes of the modern world has been wanting to expose the feminine, like to bring it out. But it's like there's something about even that gesture which becomes a denial of the power of the hidden and the secret and the mystery, which the feminine has often represented. And so it's tricky because people are saying things like they want stories with central feminine characters like that are super powerful and they're all this, but it's like, okay, I get it, but there's also an important role in the world for this secret influence, and the things that happen outside of the story that motivate the story, the reason for the story. And so often when people think of the idea of like the princess that's taken prisoner by a dragon, and they think, oh, it's just a victim. But people are just too politicized. You have to understand that the feminine appears as the reason for the quest, the secret reason, the hidden puzzle that the knight has to solve. And so, yes, it can be saving her from a dragon, but there are other forms of that can appear in storytelling as well, which manifest this kind of secret influence.